In this video, I will be demonstrating my techniques for tying in a sheepskin bag. Now is the time to check the bag for any defects, as well as pliability and suppleness of the leather. Now clean and prepare your stocks for installation in a new bag. Refinish as needed. Here's a list of the tools I'll be using. The next slide shows photographs of them. Observe that I have tie-in cord spooled onto a boat winch that will assist me in the following tie-in. This is the constrictor knot that will be used for tying in the stocks to the bag. Start out with an underhand loop, followed by a second underhand loop laid over the top of the first, then draw the loose end of the line underneath the underhand loop, up in between the underhand and upperhand loop. Now take the loops, lay them over the stock you wish to tie in, and draw them down to the chanter or drone stock channel. This knot, once drawn tight, will not come loose. After completing your following wraps around the channel, tie in a square knot on the opposite end of the constrictor knot. This will maintain tension against the constrictor knot, preventing it from ever coming loose. Before tying in the drone stocks, we will prepare the two pillow blocks that are used to secure the tie-in cord to the chanter stock. We start out by soaking the pillow blocks in a cup of water. Now that the pillow blocks are fully soaked, remove them from the water and wring them out. Roll them with the smooth side of the hide inward and secure each end of the pillow block with the previously prepared loops. Tie them securely before moving on to the next step. We will now take our pillow blocks and tie them onto a bare chanter stock. The reason for this is for the pillow blocks to develop an impression that will embed itself into the tie-in channel of the chanter stock, and also make it easier to completely seal the tie-in. The area of the welt of the bag where it meets the chanter stock is the principal area prone to air leaks. Doing this before you tie it in will help eliminate that from happening. We will set the chanter stock aside and allow the pillow blocks to completely dry and harden. This bag tie-in is being prepared for a left-handed player. The side of the bag facing the camera is the left side of the bag, and it's on this side that the bull pipe and base stock will be attached. This diagram illustrates the standard drone placement for a right-handed bagpiper. Of course, it is flipped for a left-handed player. Here I'll be locating the center of the bag. I do this by folding the bag over, bringing the neck of the bag to the back of the bag, lining up the stitching seam. I then mark the center of the top edge of the bag. The mark on the left is the center of the bag. The second mark over to the right is the middle tenor stock center of its hole. That is moved 1/2 inch to the right or towards the front of the bag away from the center mark. Take your template with a 1-inch diameter hole in it, place it over the tenor stock center point and outline the circle of the hole that you will cut later. Note that this bag's outside tenor stock is being marked 3 inches down from the center reference mark as requested by the piper. That's one advantage of tying in your own bag. You can deviate from the standard stock placement. If you're happy with standard stock placement, remember that the outside tenor is marked 1/2 inch to the back of the center reference mark and then down 3 inches. Now that we have the bag holes marked, we're preparing for the cutting of those holes. Check your union and make sure that it's as sharp as you can get it. I sharpen my unions from the inside so as to maximize the diameter of the finished cut hole. We're now ready to cut holes in the bag. Take your wooden spoon, which has previously been sanded smooth and the bottom half sanded flat. Insert the spoon through the neck of the bag, which is the chanter end, and gently slide it into position for your first hole. Now work the spoon back to the first hole you wish to cut. Be sure to center the spoon under the hole, giving yourself enough wood on the outside of the hole outline so as not to accidentally cut the reverse side of the bag. Here I've simulated the movement I used to cut the hole, and that is twisting the union onto the leather. Sheepskin is very soft. It'll be easy to cut this way. You no need to use a mallet or hammer to do this. Here you can see where the base drone stock hole was cut into the bag with its center 1 inch forward of the tenor stock center and then 3 inches down. I'll be using an earlier tied-in bag to illustrate the importance of a pill block with an impression in it. Notice the space between the tie-in crease on the bag and the welt. This will be eliminated by the pillow blocks having a dimple on it, which applies pressure down into the channel. Next, you'll take some white tack or blue tack, roll it into a strip, and apply it to the channel of the chanter stock, and then press it into the bag and line it up in the area where you will be tying in the bag. Notice that the neck of the bag is a little loose or open. This can be addressed by wetting the leather from the outside and getting it soft, and then before wrapping, as the leather dries, it will draw in and tighten, so you won't see that big gap that it could attract dirt and other things as time goes on. It's easier to fix the pillow blocks to the chanter stock while the bag is on a counter or table. It doesn't have to be very tight at this point, just snug enough to where the blocks don't fall out of place. Note that a constrictor knot is being used, and when securing it to the chanter stock, be sure that the loose end or tag end is on top and facing you before you draw it snug. I have now moved my piper's wench to the floor, and I've gathered my other tools needed. My section of cord loop, my dowel rod, and my scissors. I proceed to tighten up the initial constrictor knot that I used to affix the pillow blocks to the chanter stock. That's critical. Once tightened, This is the most important knot there is, and for all intents and purposes, it's complete. But add a few more wraps, at least 2 to 3 more wraps, to distribute the stress along the channel of the stock, as well as to cause the tack that you put in the channel to spread and properly seal. Once you've completed those few wraps, place the loop underneath the line, go at least one additional wrap, and then do a half hitch over the chanter stock and pull it tight, and cut a significant amount of line so that you can fish it back through the loop that you just placed on the stock. Then pull that loop through to where the line comes across to the other side. Now, note that I've taken both the tag end and the line that we just cut, and I've pulled it to the opposite side of the constrictor knot. There I finish it off with a square knot, and then cut off a little bit of line. Now you can either super glue the ends down to keep them from floating about, or you can tape the end, as some people like to do, so that's up to you. Now that you've seen me tie in the chanter stock, you can see that the bag is being whipped about. This is a good time to decide which stock you want to put in first. You have your drone stocks in and your blowpipe stock in, you're whipping them all about and knocking them into each other while you're trying to tie in the chanter stock. So while some out there start with a base drone or the outside tenor drone, I like to start out with a chanter stock to keep things from flying all over the place as I'm tying one in and then the next. I then follow in by doing the blowpipe stock. Here's a quick overview of the tie-in of the sheepskin bag we've been working on. Note that the welt on the bag has a depression in it. I took the round barrel end of a screwdriver and pressed into the welt to form that channel as a guide for myself, as well as preforming it so as to ensure a good tight wrap around that area. Note the distance between the bottom combing and the tie-in channel. The aim is to get enough bag material up to at least the center, if not higher, in the smooth section of the drone stock. It's now time to put the drones in the bag. So I start out with the outside tenor stock, remove the blue tape, insert it through the base drone stock hole, and push it through the bag, gently twisting it and to soften the leather and make it more elastic, and push it through to the outside tenor stock hole. Continue to pull the stock through the hole until it reaches the bottom edge of the bottom combing, just above the flat space. Note that later on during the tying in, the hide will be drawn down into the channel, and it will slide down to midway. So start with the hide up at the base of the combing. Here I'm taking my thumb to feel the channel that lies underneath the sheepskin, and verifying that I have enough distance between the channel and the top of the hole before I proceed to tie in the drone. I now unspool a significant amount of line from my piper's winch to allow me to make a constrictor knot. I prepare the constrictor knot and then slip it over the top of the drone and down to the channel stock, leaving enough tag in on the line to secure to my pull rod. With your weak hand, pinch the line in the channel of the drone stock, keeping it in place as you draw the knot snug. Now return to your piper's winch as we did with the chanter stock and draw it tight and complete the wraps and finishing knots as earlier described. Repeat the process with the center drone stock, and then take the blowpipe stock and fish it through the drone stock hole over to its position and tie that in the same way. Now finish up your tie-in with the last stock, which is the base drone stock. In this case, you're going to fish it in a bottom end first, wiggle it in, and adjust it into position before tying in. Prior to seasoning your bag, test it for airworthiness. Check all your tie-in connections and make sure there is no obvious leaks of air. Then you can season your bag. Your tie-in project is now complete. Notice that there's enough skin above the channel on all the stocks to complete a proper seal and a clean finished appearance.